Well, Annalise, I'm here in front of the Berlin Wall, perhaps one of the most symbolic reminders of how divided Germany once was, and still after 30 years of reunification, on which trillions of euros has been spent by the German government, the East still lags behind the West in terms of economic prowess. And this is something the German government will be discussing today in their annual address on the progress of reunification. And they will be putting forward some promising facts, such as the progress that has been made. The GDP of the 5 former eastern states, excluding the city-state of Berlin, is currently 73.2% of that of the western states, and compared to 1991, just after reunification, when it was at 41%, the disposable income currently of Eastern Germans is 85% that of their Western counterparts, compared to 61% in 1991. And this is being put forward by the German government as progress, but of course there's still a long way to go. And the government plans to invest in a lot of infrastructure and industry in Eastern Germany, as well as trying to convince German companies to move there in order to up employment opportunities there. But they will also today be turning their attention to a new division that's happening in Germany between rural and urban. 60% of Germans live in rural areas, but apparently this is changing, and towns and rural areas are becoming abandoned as people migrate towards the cities which threaten to become overcrowded. And this is something which the German government today wants to discuss how to try and stem this problem.
Now, Jessica, can you tell us more about how these divisions continue to affect Germans socially?
Well, there's still social and economic disparities between the West and the East in Germany. They talk of the wall in people's minds, something, of course, which is becoming less relevant with each generation of Germans who grew up in a united Germany. However, these economic disparities have left a feeling of despondency in the eastern states, where unemployment is still a lot higher, and this is where small populist parties and political parties and movements have made a lot of headway. They've been channeling into these feelings of despondency amongst people in this part of the country. And in fact, the Alternative for Germany party, the right-wing populist party, recently overtook Angela Merkel's Conservative Party in opinion polls in these 5 Eastern German states, where the Alternative for Germany, of course, also campaigning with a heavy anti-migrant message, and the anti-migrant sentiment also a lot heavier in the East, despite the fact that migration there is a lot lower. Sociologists call this the fear of the unknown in the East, and we've seen this play out in very violent clashes recently in eastern cities such as Chemnitz and Curtin. So we can still talk about there being social and economic divides between the former East and West of Germany.